The end of last year, I went to Canada for like 3.5 months. I got to spend some time with my friends, some family, and I made some new friends. While there, one of my new friends was named Rima, lovely young woman from Bangladesh, and she made me these wonderful chicken pasties using puff pastry, chicken, and some few spices. They were to die for. I absolutely loved them. Today, we are going to make those, so my husband has them for work this week. I would have done it sooner, but I had to find the little Masala Magic packets she used. I couldn't find them locally, but thankfully Amazon had them. They finally came in, which means it's time to get this recipe going. I don't have Rima's exact recipe, so we're just gonna go with the flavors that I know were in it, and we're gonna fly by the seat of our pants and put the rest of it together. I do know there's garlic, there's onion, and ginger. So let's start with those. First thing we wanna do is cut our garlic. Now, when you need to peel a piece of garlic, just use a spoon, scrape it along, and it easily peels the skin off. No fuss, no worry about cutting yourself. It's something you can even let your kids or grandkids do if they want to work with you in the kitchen. I know my wildlings, when they're around, love to cook with Nona. So we're just going to peel that. Oops, wrong bowl. And then we are going to grate some. Put it in the little bowl. Before we move to the stove and start cooking the chicken and everything else, we want to make sure we have all our mise en place done so that we can cook smoothly and not run around like a chicken with our head cut off and not have to worry if we forgot anything. So we've got our garlic, we've got our ginger. Now let's cut our onions. For chopping an onion, I like to run my knife along the natural little lines, because I think that gives me a good enough dice. Doesn't need to be anything fancy. We're not cooking fancy. We're cooking home cooking rustic food that has lots of flavor and is really good for you. So you just cut it that way. I don't like to do the dice this way because somebody can cut their hand like that. So just run along the lines and then chop. We are going to chop 1 full onion. I like to use sweet onions. You could use really any brown colored onion. We don't want to waste, so just dice up the last of it into little pieces. I heard if you leave the root on the end of it, that you're less likely to get tears from the onion. So I don't know if it's real or not, but I like to leave the root on just in case, because I don't want to be crying in my kitchen. My husband loves his food spicy, spicier than I do. I like flavor with some heat. He likes flavor with a lot of heat. He was stationed in Korea for 12 months and he's been to Thailand for 30 days and he fell in love with the cuisine while he's there, but he likes things spicy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some Thai chilies, and when everything is done, I will take some out for me to make it so it's flavor with a little bit of spice, and I will add the chilies, cook for a little longer so it's got more heat for him, because majority of this is going to be his work lunch for this week. One thing I forgot to mention about the chilies, if your hands are sensitive to chilies, just wear some gloves while you chop them up. And no matter who you are, after you chop them, make sure you wash your hands so that you do not rub chili oil into your face or into your eyes or anywhere else that you would put your hands. So we're going to take 2.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You can use chicken breast, but personally, I prefer thigh. I think it's got more flavor and therefore more delicious than breast meat. You're just gonna dice it into cubes and then throw it in your bowl. I have chopped 2.5 pounds of chicken thighs. Now, like I said, you don't have to use chicken thighs. You can use chicken breast. If you really want to save time, you could go to the grocery store, get a roasted chicken, and shred it up and throw it in the bowl with the seasonings and heat it in the pan. Another thing you could do if you wanted to be quicker about it is you could use ground chicken. I just like the chicken thigh. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my chicken before I put it in the skillet. These are the flavor packets. I can put a link in the comments if you would like, so that you know where to find them on Amazon. We're gonna add those to the chicken. We're gonna add some cornstarch to the chicken, and then we're just gonna stir and mix this together. Once this is mixed, we will move over to the stove. Let's get our onions and everything going. To a skillet, you want to add a couple tablespoons of butter. Once that melts, we will add our onions. Our butter's melted. Let's add our onions. And when I cook onions, I like to add some cinnamon to it. Just adds a nice flavor. If you don't like cinnamon, just leave it out. If you love it, add some more. It's all up to you. That's the fun part of cooking. Recipes can evolve to what you want them to be and how you want them to be. Once your onions start to sweat down a little bit, we're gonna add some salt, because all we wanna do is sweat these down and get them to being translucent. Our onions are nice and shiny and translucent, so we're going to add our ginger, and we're going to add our garlic, and we're only gonna cook this for maybe 60 seconds or so until it's aromatic. Once you can smell it, it's time to stop. Our pan has developed a nice fond. We don't wanna waste that, so we're just gonna add some chicken broth, and we're gonna deglaze the pan before we throw our chicken in there. With your pan on medium heat, you want to add your chicken, and we are going to cook this until it is completely cooked. Our chicken is cooked, so we are going to add our onions, ginger, and garlic back to that. Mix that in, and then, because I want it to be moist inside the buns, I don't want it to be dry, we're going to add some chicken stock. Usually I would use my homemade bone broth, but I forgot to get some out of the freezer and defrost it, so we're just going to use store-bought broth for now. Like I said, it's a large portion because I'm making up some for my husband's work lunches this week, and knowing him, he'll share them with his friends because that's what he likes to do. Another thing I like to do to add just a little bit more umami is add some chicken powder, because anytime you can add flavor, build them layers, baby. Build them layers. Mix that in. We're gonna let this stew for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna taste it to see if we need to add any more seasoning. I have tasted it, and for me personally, I think it needs more of the masala, because we want some heat. Right now, there's not a whole lot of spice in there. So we're gonna add that. And since it's tasting good, we're going to add in our Thai peppers. We're gonna let this stew together for a little bit, and then we'll taste it again in a couple minutes. I have transferred all of the chicken to a bowl. We're going to cover it, and we're going to refrigerate it until it cools. We need it completely cool before we try putting it in the puff pastry, or it will melt the puff pastry. The meat is cooled, so now it's time to roll out the puff pastry. You can buy this from the grocery store. Heck, if you want to and you're adventurous, you can make it yourself. You want to keep it cool because you don't want it to get warm, because then all the butter will melt out in the oven. I like to roll it out on stone so I can make sure it stays nice and cool while I'm working with it, because you need to roll it out, because this little sheet's not going to do anything. There's multiple ways you could cut these. You could do squares, triangles, rectangles. Do what's easy for you, but just roll it out some. If you want it to look nicer, you can use a cookie cutter and cut it in circles. And that's what we're going to do with this. At the end, I'm hoping to have it cut in all shapes so I can show you the different shapes. After you cut it and stuff it, you want to put it in the refrigerator, let it cool for a couple minutes. And while you're doing all that, preheat your oven at 400 Fahrenheit, which I do believe is around 204 Celsius, I think. But you want to let it cool. Or you don't want your oven to cool. You want to let your oven warm up before you put them in there, and you want the puff pastry to enter the oven warm. So you're going to put a little bit in there. It can get messy, it can leak on the sides a little, just push it in with your fingertips. And then you're going to pinch it shut. And once you pinch it shut, see, look at how cute that is. It's like a little half a moon of deliciousness. So after you make your half moon, you're gonna get your cookie tray and you're gonna put it on your baking pan. I wanted to show you one more thing. If you're in a hurry and you don't feel like having to roll out and cut all the little circles or squares or triangles and turn those into your meal, let me show you a quicker way to do this. You still need to roll out the sheet, but then you're going to take your knife and you're going to cut like, what do you say that is, 1 inch, Tom? You'll see the seams. So on one outer third of it, cut 1 inch bars, and then do the same on the outer third on the other side, 1 inch bars. Because we're just going to braid this together. Well, we're going to stuff it with the meat, braid it together, and bake it in one big meal. And then you just cut it like you would a log to serve for dinner. We done this the last time, and it actually worked out really nicely. Remember, you don't have to be perfect at the measurements. You're serving this to family. It's a quick meal. It's delicious. It's homey. So in the center third is where you'll put the rest of your meat. If you make so much of this that you have meat left over, put it in the fridge, heat it up the next day, put it over some rice, or have it with some naan. You can also freeze it for another day. It's never wasted. You can use it multiple times, multiple ways, because it's delicious, and we do not want to waste anything that tastes as good as this. Okay. So all you're going to do, this is the easiest one yet, you're going to pull up the end. Tom, pull it down so they can see. Bring it down, angle. Okay, you're going to bring up the end like this, and then fold the edge over, and then braid this end over, and then pinch the end. Okay, you just want to pinch the ends, see? Then you bring over the next one, and the next one. You're just doing a little braid. Just braid it all the way down. And then, like the others, you'll egg wash, you'll cool it, then you'll egg wash it, then you'll throw it in the oven, and it only needs to be in the oven for 15 minutes. Okay, when you get to this end, pull up the bottom, flip this over, pinch it, flip this one over, pinch it, and then use these last couple to braid it in. Okay? Then use your handy dandy bench scraper that I got from my favorite store in Colorado Springs. Shout out to Sparrowhawk, love your stuff. So you're just gonna put that on your pan, put it in the fridge, keep it cool, and then you're going to egg wash it before you bake it. Everything is finished and it looks delicious. I wanna show you some of the different shapes we did. So this is how the little circles turned out. They're cute, they're small, couple bites for ladies that like to have smaller foods. We did some triangles and we did some squares as well. So there's multiple ways you can fold these to eat them. This is the one we're gonna have for supper. It's the bigger log. The way I serve this is you just cut it. It's still really hot, it's fresh out of the oven. In bars, like you would pastry. And then you just take some, sit it in your serving bowl and serve it right like that. Now this stuff is like molten hot when it first comes out of an oven. So you need to be Really careful you don't burn yourself on it. So my advice, let it cool a little bit before you try eating it or feeding it to anyone else. You can bag these up. They're good in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. This is going to do Tommy his work lunch over the next couple of days. So let's get him in here and see what he thinks of these. Hello, my lover.
Hey, baby.
Mwah. Do this one. It's already cut for you.
All right. Heck yeah. Oh. Oh, man. These are so good.
Yeah.
So much flavor.
Well, thank Rima for introducing them to me.
Thank you, Rima.
I hope you all have a blessed and wonderful night, and go try this Bangladesh dish.
Please do.
Bye-bye, y'all.